What ducked up thing did you do as a kid? Pooped my pants when I was like 5. Didn't want to tell anyone. So I dropped it in the heater duct in my room. House got sold and we moved away not long after, unrelated. Nice surprise to the new owners. I was absolutely terrible to the first man my mom dated after she and my father split. Really terrible. I once told the man, in the middle of dinner and apropos of nothing, that I hated him and hoped he died in a car wreck on the way home. Said calmly, with a straight face, that man did nothing wrong. Was always good to me. I still feel terrible about it more than 20 years later. Did you apologize to him? I did. Ran into him at a gas station years later and told him how sorry I was for being such an awful little sheep to him. When I was 5 I had hair down to my ass. I was tired of my mom brushing it so I cut it all off and peed on it in a bucket. Burned down a field of dry grass next to my house and almost burned my neighbor's house and my house down with it. On 1991. After seeing Mike Tyson getting arrested on the news, I asked my dad what grape was. And he told me it meant hurting a girl. So you can picture 7-8-year-old me running to the teacher to say stuff like, "Teacher, come. Jack, John and George are aping Molly on the playground." Or threatening my classmates with grape if they were annoying me, boys included. Cause I thought this way I was also insulting them by calling them girls. Edit. The final straw for the teacher was when 2 kids on my classroom were fighting and I teased one of them with a sarcastic tone. "Oh poor you. You don't like getting graped?" The teacher and towards me. "Like what did you just say?" So I explained to her. Still teasing him, "Well, Mrs. Sarah, he's like a girl." So we graped him instead of hitting him. My cousin and I were like 7ish or so and playing upstairs in a room by ourselves. My aunt left her sewing machine and they're ready to go. We were fascinated by how fast the needle moved up and down when we stepped on the foot pedal. Then we had the idea to see who could get their finger out of the way before the needle started moving. He went. Safe. I went. Safe. He went. Blood shot out and screaming commenced. My friends and I were out riding our bikes and saw a dead squirrel in the road. Kid logic said picking that carcass up with some sticks, carrying it to a random front step and doing a ding ding ditch was a good idea. About a week later we notice a for sale sign in that house. To this day I'm suspicious this poor family thought they were being targeted by some sociopath and noped the duck out of there. Threw 2 big bags of hamster bedding through my fan and acted like a news forecaster and acted like it was snowing and parents woke up to my room being covered in over an inch of bedding. Needless to say I didn't own the hamster anymore. Looked at naked girls my own age because I thought that was what you were supposed to do. Sometimes I look back and think how much of my dad's life I could have ducked up by innocently doing this. Yeah, I tried to do the same thing once when I was much younger. I'm 15 now, and I was absolutely scared shitless for a solid week of how I was gonna explain this to the cops who would inevitably show up on our doorstep. Edit. Yo, thanks for the silver. Although now I am definitely screwed if I ever wanna tell someone how I got my first award. Edit 2. Holy ducking sheetal mayo. Now it's even worse. Oh well, karma over social life. I used to pee on my brother's bed in the mornings so I would get first crack at video games or TV while he helped clean up his mess. Update. I did not pee on my brother. I used to make sure that I was peeing away from him and on top of the covers. This occurred just a couple of times. Probably coinciding with some video game we rented for the weekend. I'm sure my parents were aware something was off about the whole thing but they never let on and now don't recall being suspicious of me. I've told the story to my family and we laugh about it now. My brother doesn't recall wetting the bed at that age. I am sorry for what I did. It was selfish action. But watching him playing video games wrong was very frustrating as a kid. Thank you for the shower of gold, kind strangers. I helped a Jewish kid steal a Christmas tree. He complained his family never had a Christmas tree. My stepmom was abusive to me, so when she'd fall asleep I'd say mean things to her hoping she'd hear it in her dreams. More stupid than ducked up. My older brother pissed me off, so I pissed in a super soaker. One time I peed in my cousin's ear from the top bunk. The sniper. I don't know if it would be considered ducked up, but my brother and I made homemade darts from push pins, the pins used to hold dress shirts at stores, and would throw them at each other. They would stick in our skin and wiggle, and we would laugh our asses off. Holy shit, I remember doing something similar. I remember I'd get those thumbtacks. Put each one in that middle part of your fingers and go around 5-starring all my friends. I took a dump in a plastic bag and hid it in my closet for reasons. Also used to stick my wang out between the curtains of my bedroom window after bedtime when I first started getting boners because the risk of being seen was thrilling. I lived on a busy street. Guess I was a born exhibitionist. What happened to the bag? My parents had to have found it. I went to check on my pet turd one day and it was no longer there. We never spoke of it. They've both passed, so I will never know who found it or what happened to it. Life's mysteries. When I was around 7, I shit in a cup and gave it to my brother, who was in high school, to eat it and told him it was chocolate popcorn. Long story short, he did not eat it. Did something similar. I shit and pissed in a bottle of iced tea to make it look like iced tea before I gave it to my sister. She threw it out immediately. I also used to wipe shit on the walls when my parents got divorced. Then penciled myself black one day in 8th grade before they suspended me. I was a rebel child who hated everything. When I was in 2nd grade, I said my teacher was stabbing kids with pencils. The others were brought in one at a time and questioned. This did not happen, and I remember the teacher fondly and have no idea why I did it. I guess for the same reason most kids randomly do shit, to see what happens next. I had a notebook that I proceeded to fill with drawings. Each page was a scene like a comic book. It told the pictorial story of a woman getting pregnant and giving birth with graphic detail according to my 7-year-old understanding of how birth worked. She pooped the baby, didn't she? My friend and I ripped and stole pages out of a neighbor's Cosmo that had pictures of bods. I think it might have been for breast self-exams. We were 10-year-old girls at the time and got totally busted by my parents. That same friend and I got into a different neighbor's trash bags after Thanksgiving and decided to sample some of their leftovers. What the actual duck? Kids are so strange. Hey, we didn't eat duck in garbage, so don't call us weird. I made my brother and his friends a jug of Kool-Aid with water from the toilet. I kind of relate to the Queen song. I had a nanny with an enormous ass and I snuggled up to it regularly and she apparently saw nothing wrong with it. Who knows, maybe it was her idea. I was too young to really pay attention. Anyway, I like butts as an adult, go figure. Jesus Christ, mine is really not as bad as everyone else. We grew up not having a lot of money. One day my dad had the day off and he wanted to treat me to a restaurant by his work that he always wanted to go to. I was an asshole and I complained the whole time and thought the place was too cheap. He was excited to take me. I feel awful. Edit. Thank you for the gold. I am going on a trip to India with my parents next week to visit my dad's family. He always gets really excited to take us there and show us his family and where he grew up. I promise you all I will apologize to him and make it up to him there. I pooed on the floor, then smudged it all onto my little sister's doll. My parents used to my peel apples because kids can have trouble swallowing and chewing the skin. I was upset I wasn't allowed it, and when they weren't looking I took the skin out of the garbage and ate it. I would hold my foreskin closed and then pee till it filled up. Then let go a piss explosion all over the bathroom. Edit. God damn it. Really didn't want this to be my highest rated comment. When I was in 1st grade, a girl wouldn't let me in her club. So the next morning our teacher took away her sunglasses because she was wearing them during class. During recess I snuck into the classroom and placed the sunglasses in the girl's desk. Then I told the teacher when we got back that I saw her take her sunglasses back during recess. My teacher believed me. The girl denied it. The teacher pushed down her desk and the sunglasses were there. She got in trouble for not only stealing but for lying about it. No one ever found out it was me all along. And that is just one story of why I am going to hell. There was a kid named Jeff that was a real asshole in 5th grade, and I went to the bathroom and wrote, "Duck, Jeff," on the bathroom door, and a grown-up actually fell for it or didn't give a shit because Jeff was a big dick either way he went down for it. I stole my dead maternal grandmother's $30,000 engagement ring and lost it on the playground when I was 6 years old while my parents were losing the house. I liked holding shiny things and I forgot about it. We were basically almost homeless because of what I did. Dark thoughts. Your parents should have kept their eyes on their $30,000 ring. 6-year-olds are curious and prone to doing stupid shit. Don't be so hard on yourself. Everything worked out in the end. I used to have a couple bullies in the 1st grade. One day they decided it would be a good idea to strap me to a bench and strip me. So you know what I did? I shit my pants right then and there. They never bothered me again. Dominance, hell yeah. My friend and I hid underneath the desk during a fire drill in 2nd grade. We both got an F for conduct that day. My mom was pissed. Not sure duck and cover works for fires. I put countless rocks on the train tracks in hopes of derailing it. Filled a super soaker with rubbing alcohol and sprayed fire. So basically attempted mass murder. When I was 8, I stole my father's nickel collection and spent it on penny candy. Yo, what the duck? Is he mad at you? Was it silver or proofs? My dad has a massive collection of silver quarters he inherited from his dad. At one point, he counted and put them all in paper rolls. My younger brother took a few rolls, having no idea what they were or what they were worth, and blew all of them in ducking quarter machines. My dad was beyond pissed. Why he kept them in a cardboard box in a closet, I don't know. But either way, my brother shouldn't have been going through their sheet and taken them. But he keeps them locked up now. As a teenager I used to stick my big dig in the bath drain while the water drained out. Yeah, no. For the suction feeling. Edit, for those asking how. Upward facing dog yoga pose. Edit 2. To answer a few more questions. No. I didn't contract any diseases. The length of my member is average length in its solid state. There was a grate in the hole, so my big dig didn't actually go down the drain. The vortex of the draining water created the suck. From what a couple of plumber redditors have noted, what I did was ducking gross. How in the duck do you manage that? Like, how do you physically get your big dig in the drain without some Cirque du Soleil body pretzel line? My sister and I would ask our friends a question. If they answered wrong we would be like, "You dumbest donkey," and ride the person while making donkey noises saying "walk, donkey, you stupid ass," and so on. A friend once said New York was the capital of the states and we ducking rode him for half an hour. Lots of dead animals and stories about poop, and this is what you bring to the party. My dad had bad OCD and made the family miserable because of it. As a teenager on Fridays after school I would rearrange the furniture in the house or his precious tools in his workshop garage and then disappear for the weekend. As an adult I realize he couldn't control it and he loved us deep down and I feel guilty about it. But at the time it was hilarious to me and my siblings and felt good. Don't feel bad. My dad's dyslexic so I switched the F and J keys on his keyboard at work. Then the S and T. He now has a personal assistant to type everything for him. I would make animal tails out of paper, tape them to my butt, then pretend I was said animal and run around on all fours, making animal noises. I did not turn out to be a furry. However, once when pretending to be a ring-tailed lemur I pranced straight into a closed glass patio door. Maybe that macked the furry out of me. I used to pretend I was a dinosaur or a horse, you pick the phase, and would run around with my hands bent on themselves, like claws hooves to my 6-year self, and make noises like said animals, pawing at the ground with my feet. I did this in public places, like bookstores and shopping centers. My brother-in-law recently said when he and my sister would take me on outings that people thought I was developmentally disabled. He didn't tell me what their response to those people was. In 8th grade. In the fall season. My friends and I were hanging out in this tunnel. It was filled with dry leaves. As we sat on the walls of the tunnel shooting the sheet, I was mindlessly throwing matches into the leaves. I had this weird obsession with fire since I was really young. I was spacing out just staring at the little flames until my friend grabbed me and pointed out how fast it was spreading. We started stomping on the leaves and the fire just kept rapidly spreading. We looked at the openings of the tunnel and black smoke was just pluming out of both ends. A few other things happened after that, but it ended with my friends and I running away. The way our neighborhood worked, we could see the tunnel from my friend's house without being seen by anyone else. The tunnel had a massive flame coming out of both ends. I can't believe how bad the fire was. But it was in a remote area. There wasn't anything close to it that it could burn down. Not justifying what I did, because it was extremely reckless, dangerous and destructive. But all things considered, it was pretty harmless and luckily I never got caught. It's actually good early on you had a fire scare like that. My brother was a bit of a pyromaniac too, and that never stopped with him until he almost burned off his leg trying to put out a fire he started that grew out of control. Thank goodness he is only a bit disfigured. I used to take a mental note of every significant compliment I got and added it to a list that I'd look at when I felt sad. Lol. That's not ducked up though. That sounds like a good idea honestly. Growing up in the 80s. Every time I swore my parents threatened to wash my mouth out with a bar of soap. I got tired of hearing it, so the next time they made the threat I went to the bathroom. Came back with a bar of soap and with a smile on my face proceeded to scrub my mouth with it. Can't make it a punishment if I enjoy it. This has the same energy as breaking all the dishes the first time you're asked to scrub them so that you never have to do the dishes again. I tried to poison my mom's boyfriend. I was probably around 11. I had one of those science kits from the Scholastic Book Fair. I took the citric acid and dumped the whole container into his drink. He sipped it and just said, "This tastes like sheet," and dumped it out. Lol. Once pissed on a kid through a chain link fence while my friends and I were chatting with him and his brother.